Allah, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Tawada, Baal, Karkadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone that have taught this truth, which I believe through the Spirit is 100% truth. I'm going to start off in the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 2, verse 26. And that they may recover themselves out of the snare of the devil, who are taken captive by him at his will. Today's lesson is going to be based on a documentary I was looking at on YouTube. No, not YouTube, but Netflix. It's talking about the crack epidemic, that went on back in, started in the 80s. Anybody that was around during the 80s, you remember when crack came in, For myself, I remember when it came in, you just seen your whole environment change, your whole community. Especially those of us who grew up inside these project communities, we witnessed change, man, and that shit happened like overnight. And this was part of that was being pushed on our people through, like the brother was saying from Mississippi, through social engineering. This was pushed on our people, directed towards our people, to get them to display their wickedness, to make Jake as bring them to a lower state, and it was a deep thought out plan, our adversary, he works overnight diligently, to work to keep our people in a lower state, so that we have to come to him and ask for everything, And our people, we are self-sufficient people, we can be. But being here in Babylon the Great, this devil makes it so that we have all type of restraints on us, all type of obstacles in front of us, in front of our people, to keep them in a lower state, And a lot of it is perpetrated by his enchantments, man. And his enchantments, through social engineering, through TV, movies, music, and you see where it has evolved to today, in our people. So I'm going to go to, and all these are snares of the devil, man. Snares that they put on our people. These snares are traps that they set for us to keep us in bondage, up under the oppressor. To make us look like we're in a lower state, which we are right now, physically, up under these devils, man. And that way they can continue to do and make laws that keep us restricted and constrained and pretty much at their mercy. So we're going to go to Psalms 83 and 5, the book of Psalms. And Salakia for the noise in the background. I got somebody cutting grass. Air conditioners, it's right now, it's kicked in. So it's just a lot of background noise, but bear with me. Hopefully we can get through this lesson. Lord willing. In the book of Psalms, what I say? Book of Psalms, chapter 83 and verse 5. Actually, I'm going to start off with verse 3, and we can work on down to verse 7. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And they did a pretty good job at doing that. They got together with these other nations, and when they ran us out of Israel and dispersed us amongst these other nations, then, when we were brought to these shores of, to America, we had our religion and our history and our names, everything beat out of us, our language, everything. We were totally stripped clean, and then we were pretty much brainwashed and conditioned to be slaves. From that point on, they took the men and what all type of shit they did to the men, what they did to the women, and then the child, the child was just used for brainwashing, so they continue to create a perpetual slave. They have said, "Come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance." And so now we're at the point now we don't even know who we are. You ask the average Jake out here. When I talk about Jake, I'm talking about the tribe of Jacob. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. We don't know who we are. Far as we know, we just think that we come out of Africa. We were slaves, and that's as far as to go back. But our true history goes back from the west coast of Africa all the way to Israel, because we fled through the interior of Africa. Shalaki on that, not just in the west coast of Africa, but through the interior of Africa, and we were rounded up by the Hamites and given over to the Edomites. For they have consulted together with one consent; they are confederate against thee. These other nations knew who we were. They knew we were the people of the Lord. They know that our father had pretty much kicked us out. He evicted us out of our homeland. And so he know that they can do whatever they wanted to us. So first thing they had to do was they consulted together to keep us in a lower state so that they can rule over us. The tabernacle of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarites, Gebal, Ammon, Amalek, the Philistines with inhabitants of Tyre. So they all knew who we were. They knew that we were the Lord's chosen people, and so they consulted together to keep us in a lower state, and that way they can continue to try to rule and be over everything. But the truth, has been starting to come out. The Lord has opened up the books, and this truth is being revealed of who we are. For so long we didn't know who we were. We didn't have no damn clue of who we were in this land. Our people, you black, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we are the Hebrew Israelites. Not black, but the Hebrew Israelites. Black is a color. We're not a color. Most people talk about we black, we Africans, we black Americans. They gave us so many bywords and names and all that. We come in many different shades of color. The Lord scattered us all over. And believe me, your enemy, especially the elites, they know exactly who we are. They try to keep that a mystery to us. I'm going to go to Psalms chapter 64, verse 2. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. So we're calling our Lord and Savior Yahweh Hashem Yahushua to protect us and hide us from the evil counsel of the wickedness. Believe me, these upper elites, these people in Congress and all that, they get together and they devise crafty plans to keep us in perpetual bondage. And part of those plans is, was that crack cocaine epidemic. But it goes way beyond that. It goes back to the heroin times, back in the 70s. Anytime our people were gaining any type of footing, they would always find ways to bring us down, always find ways to put us in that trick bag. Anytime they see our people making progress, they would either send in the drugs and prior to that, it used to be the Klan. They send the Klan out and destroy these townships where Jake was surviving and doing good. So now they have different type of warfare, and that part of their sword, they have the blessing of the sword, and one of their swords is chemical warfare. Sending drugs in those communities. And, one thing about that documentary, it showed that prior to the crack epidemic coming in, they pretty much shut down them cities. They put them in a total depressed state. There wasn't any jobs, and Jake was trying, trying to do right. They knew that by through his oppression, Jake didn't have many jobs. They Jake was in a desperate situation. So when you got a desperate situation, what you do, you send in that potion. You send in that chemical warfare. And Jake, under his oppression, he took right to it. And many of our people during that time, they became hooked on crack. And they knew this, and they pushed that because it goes back in the documentary. It shows that they flew those drugs in here, and it all goes back to the Contra war down there in Nicaragua, down in the Southern Americas. Which they were sending guns down there. They had them fighting amongst each other, and then sending drugs from down there up here. So this man is truly the devil, man. Truly the devil. He plays both sides. He's that one that's kind of you always have an instigator. Any neighborhood or hood you come up with, you always have somebody that always instigating shit, always creating shit. Well, that's Esau Edom, man. That's the role he's designed to play. He can always play you jakes amongst each other. Play our people against each other. And that way he can sit back in the background and he just cross his hands and just wait for the carnage to begin, and then we look to him to come deliver us. Verse 3, Psalms chapter 64, verse 3, who whet their tongues like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. And part of their arrows and words was part of their, they came up with those laws back in the 80s or 90s, early 90s, to lock a lot of you jakes up, man. So-called, they supposed to be saving you from yourself, They gave a lot of jakes, man, like football. That's when the term came in, jakes was getting football years. Jake became pretty much like a savage, out here for that money, because Jake got hooked on not only the drugs but the lifestyle of riches, and so Jake became almost like a savage out here fighting for these corners and all that, and they use all that against us. So they come up with those laws to lock a lot of you jakes up, man. Took a lot of the kids from the parents, put them in foster care and all that. You know how foster care is. A lot of those kids turn out in foster care, man. They get turned out, man. They get spoiled. They become no good. And you see the byproduct of that today, because a lot of those kids, had kids, and look where the shit that we're in today. Chapter 64, verse 4, for they may shoot in secret at the perfect, suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. So secretly they passed these laws. No, Jake didn't know what the hell was going on, and that's them shooting those arrows at us, man. And it's another way that they say it's a hidden war that they had against us Jakes, man. But Jake, we didn't have a clue. We was like Sodom's children. We know what the hell was going on. So Esau, he's the master manipulator, man. Through his Hollywood and his laws and stuff that he enact, he keeps our people always off balance. It's like a boxer in the ring. We got somebody that's constantly beating them to the punch and outthinking them. That boxer, he stays on his heel. He's not able to get on his toes and throw anything back. So the people went to the oppressor asking for relief, man, to do something about these drug dealers and these crackheads in our neighborhood. And that's all Esau's waiting. He's a crafty hunter, man. That's all he was waiting to hear. All he wanted was the opportunity to be able to come in them hoods and lock those men up, these fathers, and separate them kids from the mother and put them with the state, so they can state raise their kids. And they did devastation on these communities, man. 'Cause I remember seeing our community, man, turn to fucking pure hell. A lot of cats got locked up. A lot of them got hooked on drugs. A lot of family members. If you came up during that time, we all had family members that was on that shit, man. And it just fucking destroyed households, man. Then, but prior to that, they set it up perfectly because, they started taking men out the household back in the 60s. When they started taking men out the household through the welfare programs and by other means. So they had to go after the ones that was still in the household. And that's one way they did it, man. They totally separated and split up the black community. Or so-called, not say black, but the Hebrew community. And that's you black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. They did the same thing in the barrios with the Hispanics. on the reservations with the so-called Native Americans. But God shall shoot at them with an arrow, suddenly they shall be wounded. So the same thing is going to happen to them. So our Lord Yahweh is going to, turn around and reverse the curses on this devil, man. And you see right now today, a lot of them are going through that hill. You go through some of these major cities, man. A lot of them are going through the same shit we was going through back in the 80s and the 70s, off heroin and crack. But now they on that fentanyl and all the other bullshit, and it's devastating their community because the Lord reversed the curses, and now they come at it differently. You got to handle it with care. They need help. You got to have instead of locking them up, giving them football numbers, they finding resources to put them some type of rehabilitation and community clinics to try to get them cleaned up so they can be productive citizens. But when we was going through it, they demonized us, man. They made us look like pure animals, which some of us were. I ain't gonna say most of us. Some of our people have become, and they locked them, threw away the key. And I know for a certain fact, man, there wasn't no type of rehabilitation things in the neighborhood, where people can get rehabbed or anything. They were just locking them up. And if you try to seek it for a family member, they say you had to have some type of special insurance. You have to have some type of high, affordable insurance, that can cover these major costs. If not, your ass, you had to suffer. You had to go through it. But not so the case, today, when these Edomites saw it, they look at it differently. They look at them as victims, and you know, but that this devil, man, he's doing it to his own people. But like I say, when the roles are reversed, they just approach it differently. They're not locking them up in masses like they did our people. And verse 8, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, and all that see them shall flee away. So like I said, same thing that they put on us, it's coming back on them. We're going to go to Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 15. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 15. 1571. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 15. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor strong drink, and putteth a bottle to him, and maketh him drunken also, that thou mayest look upon their nakedness. It's a very powerful verse there, especially concerning like the crack epidemic, that went on. So that strong drink is that potion that they was putting in those neighborhoods, man, in our neighborhoods, to destroy our people. And then once they got them exposed, and they started putting out with these TV shows and news media, they demonized Jake and showing how he was just being like a straight up animal and beast, which they created the situation. And they pointed at the people, the American, so-called American people, and said, now look at these animals, look what's going on. Is this what you want? Or are you going to call on us, we're going to go in there and fix all that for you. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor strong drink, and putteth a bottle to him, and maketh him drunken, also that thou mayest look on their nakedness. And like I say, they did it, and they exposed us, they exposed our people. expose their shame, all the shit that was going on. About the crackheads, women selling their bodies and shit, for that crack. Um, Men doing all kind of heinous acts. All that shit, they exposed to the other nations and said, look at them, they straight up animals, you know. They use that to demonize us so they can do what they wanted to our people, man. Damn, air conditioner back on again. But thank the Lord, how about Shimmy our shot that it does work, so that's a blessing, man. Let me drop down to verse 16. It's got some meat on that. Thou art filled with the shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. So they take the covering off us, man, and reveal our nakedness, man. They showed us in our rawest form, man, and they exposed it to the whole world and said, look at these damn animals out here, This is why we need to lock them away forever, man. And you can listen to some of these congressmen on that documentary speaking, man. They pretty much told me they need to bring a damn circus and lock Jake up, which they created this Jake, man. They created a nigga on earth, man. That was their creation. Like Frankenstein, the movie, by Dr. Frankenstein, he created that. He created that monster, and that monster, was his creation. But the monster in the movie, if you can go back, anybody, you young Jakes out here, go back and watch that movie. The monster ended up coming back and killing the doctor, That created him. He ended up coming back and created this monster. The doctor that created him, made him that monster. Shalaki, I'm going to go to the book of Sirach. I'm going to go to the book of Sirach and the Apocrypha, or what we call Ecclesiasticus. Sirach chapter 12, verse 10. Sirach chapter 12, verse 10. This is one of my favorite readings too, man. Very deep. I'm pretty much go through probably 9 on down. Okay, now I'll start off with 10. Sirach chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust your enemy, for like corrosion and copper, so is his wickedness. Even if he humbles himself and walks bowed down, take care to be on your guard against him. And that's where our people, man, they off their guard, man, because he got them bamboozled, man. He got them fooled, thinking that this man is pretty much their savior. He's pretty much innocent. He's changed his ways from the days of slavery, that he's their friend, and most of these laws he does is to protect Jake from himself. But you can't trust this devil, man, because he moves in the darkness, man. He moves silently. He makes his move that we don't see, He does that slight hand and eye, where you're looking at one thing and he hits you with the jab, man. Even if he humbles himself and walks bowed down, take care to be on your guard against him. Be to him like one who polishes a mirror, to be sure it does not become completely tarnished. Be to him like one who polishes a mirror, be sure it does not become completely tarnished. So you got to make sure you keep your eyes on this devil all the time, man. As soon as you take your eye off him, he's doing something, deceitful or deceptive behind your back, And that's part of his Like I said, a lot of these things that's going on now, he got all these distractions to trying to keep Jake looking over here while he's pulling laws right now to entrap you again. Do not put him next to you, or he may overthrow you and take your place. Do not let him sit at your right hand, or else he may try to take your own seat, and at last you will realize the truth of my words and be stung by what I have said. A lot of it's gonna be a wake up call when Jacob's trouble come, man. A lot of these Jakes, man, they ain't got a clue, man. And you can warn them till you blue in the face. They not seeing it because they've been enchanted, man. They've been enchanted so bad, through Esau's witchcraft. They can't see who the enemy is, man. They look at you like you the enemy. You trying to warn them, and they looking at you like you the damn enemy. Who pities a snake charmer when he is bitten? Very powerful there, man. Let me repeat that again. Who pities a snake charmer when he is bitten? A lot of our people, man, been bitten. First of all, they got bitten by that potion that recently went out, through the CV-19, man. That's part of their, they ran to Egypt for help, thinking that this devil's going to save them, and they took that potion. So we don't know the end result on that. So who's going to pity them when they bitten, when you done warned them not to go out there and receive that? But Jake, he believes in his oppressor. And all those who go near wild animals, so no one pities a person who associates with a sinner. He becomes involved in other sins. Oh, let me drop down. It's pretty deep right here too. Also in that chapter 12, verse 16. An enemy speaks sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he plans to throw you into a pit. It's like all these things, they were saying, like, we're here to help you. We're gonna give you government assistance. There's nefarious reason behind why they're doing these things. They open up the border and try to bring Issachar in here. It's something nefarious behind that. That's all sweet talk and smooth words that our people love to hear, and they fall victim to. They easily charmed by the tongue of Esau Edom, and that goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden, man. Our people are easily charmed by this devil, man. He has a sweet tongue that they got a taste for, man. But an enemy speaks sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he plans to throw you in a pit. An enemy may have tears in his eyes, but if he finds an opportunity, he will never have enough of your blood. Look what he did to Gad when he came over here, man. I was watching the movie Geronimo, on Netflix. Very good movie, man. It goes back, and he broke all kind of treaties with Gad, man. All kind of treaty with Gad and Reuben. And every opportunity he got, man, he was spilling Gad's blood because he was trying to wipe him off the face of the earth, But the Lord didn't allow it, He left the remnant. An enemy may have tears in his eyes, but if he finds the opportunity, he will never have enough of your blood. So he comes at you, like he feels sorry for you and all that type shit. Look at the Red Cross, what they done, man, in all these places when they go in there and they supposed to so-called help the people. Look what they done in Haiti and over there in these African countries, man. They go in there with sweet words and smooth talking, and they cry to the people for donations on the TV and with tears in their eyes. But at the same time, they robbing them blind, man. Go in there, steal all the resources, and keep the people in total oppression. An enemy may have tears in his eyes, but he find an opportunity, he will never have enough of your blood. If evil comes upon you, you will find him there ahead of you. Like I said in Haiti, man, when they got hit by those earthquakes and all that, who was the first one there, man? Esau Edom, man. They come in from all these other places, to help Haiti out. You would have thought for all the donations, the money raised, man, they'd be a first world country. They only went over there and built 3 damn houses, man. 3 houses, and I don't even think they ever got occupied. They robbed all the money and stole the damn children out of there to, so-called to sex trafficking. I'm gonna say so-called because you gotta be careful what you say on here. That's the devils, man. That's how they move, man. They move on every opportunity to take advantage of. I think they went over there and stole the diamonds out of it, steal diamonds out of there too right now. It's just straight up devil, man. Straight up evil, man. If evil comes upon you, you will find him there ahead of you. Pretending to help, he will trip you up. Then he will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and show his true face. Like I said, during the crap epidemic, man, he came in there. He was going to build up the police forces. He was going to build more jails and prisons to lock you jakes up to protect you from yourselves, you know. At the same time, he's locking up all your children, your brothers, your sisters, um, destroying the families, destroying these so-called Hebrew neighborhoods, man. You black, Hispanic, Native American neighborhoods, all that, you know, in the face of saying he's helping you, but at the same time he's destroying you, because he's the one that's creating the problem. He's the one that flooding those neighborhoods with drugs, man. He's pushing that crime in there, so he can come in there and bring the so-called solution. I'm going to jump to Isaiah chapter 51, verse 20. The prophet Isaiah chapter 51, verse 20. Lord willing, that this lesson be edifying, man. It's just when you watch documentaries like that, just kind of inspire you. It fires up your spirit, man. You got to do a lesson, you know, on it. You got to talk about it, because it just burns you up to see how this devil done our people, man. And you see how our people have become. They've been totally destroyed, so they're gonna have to be totally wiped out, you know, and brought back to the lawns of the elect, you know, when the Lord comes to destroy this place. Isaiah chapter, what I say, 51, verse 20. Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets. As a wild bull in the net, they are full of the fury of the Lord. Rebuke of thy Lord, Yahweh. And see, and like I said, during that time, you know, he created oppression in the neighborhood. There was no jobs. Jake was struggling, you know, all that. And so he created a situation where he could pump in the drugs and the guns, and through his enchantments, through the gang violence and all that shit, which they pushed on our people, through those gang movies that they was pushing out, this Scarface and Colors and all that type shit, they was feeding our people. Of course, naturally, them young men, you know, they easily influenced, and they're gonna feed into that shit. They put influences out there to lead them to the traps, you know. Which you hear Jake all the time talk about, we going to the trap, you know. That's where they make their money, you know. And this is all done by this devil, man. He set the whole situation up, man. He's a cunning hunter. That's how he moves, man. So he set Jake's up, you know, and you get Jake on the corner, man, out there. They was hustling dope big time back in the 80s and 90s on them corners, you know. Repeat that again. 51 verse 20. Isaiah 51 verse 20. Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets. That's on them corners, man, pushing that dope during that time, you know. Pushing that crack rock, or what they used to call it, rock, and or crack, or either rock, you know. And as a wild bull in the net, they are full of the fear of the Lord. So he entrapped them. He coming there and with those, I know a lot of our neighborhoods back during the day, man, they come in there with these special drug task force teams, man, kicking in doors. They was locking up everything on the block, man. And so a lot of these cats went to prison and and caught football numbers. But a lot of these cats had kids, you know. So they were removed from this household. You know, it's all just a big old trap. So the next generation come right back and feel those footsteps, you know. Because once he exposed the house, man, he came in there and spoiled the whole damn house of you Jakes. And you see how our women are, what they created our women to be. They got them on that crack. You know, our women during that time, they wasn't that bad, though. Then once they got on that crack, man, Eve just lost all morals, man. She just went totally for anything, especially when she got hooked on them drugs, man. And that was the beginning of that ratchetness, you know. Our women would do anything, you know, sleeping with 4 or 5 men at a time, you know. All that for that crack rock. And then you got a generation to come behind it. Then you push these influencers on like Cardi B's, Megan Thee Stallion, Nicki Minaj, and all that type bullshit. And they gave them a daily dose of of wickedness, man. Daily dose of being degenerative. And so you have the lower state of women that we have now. You know, all that's a byproduct of Esau Edom and his policies that he created. Isaiah chapter 51. Okay. Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1. Let me see if any more is in that chapter before I move on. Okay, I'll go to 21. It's a little bit of meat on there. Therefore, hear now this, thou afflicted and drunken, but not with wine. So our people are drunk as hell right now. They're in a lower state, man. But they're not drunk because of wine, but they've been drunk on these enchantments that have been pushed on our people. These drugs, man, they went in laboratories and created that crack, you know. They created that. That shit was created, I think they said, in one of these colleges, man, and that's how they came up with that crack rock. They knew they can create a potent product for a low price that Jake can afford, man, and push that shit in the community. And it fucking it's like dropping a bomb, man, on all these black communities, man. Believe me, I was in one of them. I seen how that shit destroyed families, man. Shit was fucking wicked as hell, man. And it's been all down here ever since. Not to say it was even better before then, but goddamn. You look at the shit what we got now, man. This shit can't get no worse. I mean, not to say it can't, because this man is going to make it worse. But the Lord is going to have to come back, man. If not, there would be no Jakes left. Okay, now that's pretty much on that. Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. So they gave a prescription for a damn cold that a flu that they gave our people. They came in and gave our people the flu, and then they write a prescription for it. It's not really going to help you, but it's going to even destroy you even more. Same way with this C-19, man. Ain't no telling, like say they probably created that shit. You know, have to be careful how you speak, but it's probably created somewhere in the lab. Push that shit on the people, and hell, they got a prescription. Well, we got the fix right here. Everybody come get this. Matter of fact, you don't have to volunteer to come get it. We mandatory that you got to come get this. And if you don't come get it, we're gonna demonize you. You know, you the wicked ones. That shows you it's the true devil of the earth, man. True damn devil of the earth. Got a little meat on this too. Let me drop down Isaiah chapter 10, verse 2. To turn aside the needy from judgment. Because like I said, when them Jakes, them neighborhoods got on crack, man, they didn't have no court-appointed attorneys, which didn't represent them at all. You know, they just threw the book at these people, man, at our people. And to take away the right of the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey. And so these women that left home with these kids, man, it was easy prey for to move in. There was government policies, man, to take the kids and fucking blow up them homes, man. And that they may rob the fatherless. And they continue to study rob our people, man. When I say our people, you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. So especially here in Babylon the Great. Going to go to the book of Sirach. Chapter 12. Did I read that one? Let's see. Yeah, I did. I read that already. Isaiah chapter 31, verse 1. Isaiah chapter 31. Verse 1. Woe unto them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses and trust in chariots, because there are many, and in horsemen, because they are very strong, but they look unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. And like I said, during that crack epidemic, you know, they had these so-called Baptist preachers, you know how they are. a 501c3 all the way down, and they went to Congress, and they supposed to be having the plight of the people, and they say y'all need to do something. Y'all need to come in here and fix these neighborhoods. Like we can't fix them ourselves. And so they went in there and drafted up legislation and bills and shit overnight. And they was locking Jakes up like it wasn't nothing. But for being on crack and having a crack rock in your pocket, cats catching like 10 years. And don't let them have already had 2 or 3 strikes. Jake was locked up, shit. Well, I think in California, like damn near getting life sentences behind that bullshit. But that's the devil, man. He's quick to lock Jake up for anything. All he needs is the opportunity. And same way our people did Yahushua, they went to turn him over to the Romans, and said, take care of this for us. And look what happened, man. Our Lord and Savior who came there to save our people was persecuted. So nothing's changed about Jake, man. Jake is always going to his oppressor. And the results, and you always see the end results, man. Every time we end up losing. We end up losing. Jake ain't gonna learn, man. That's why the Lord is gonna have to come back and deliver his people, man, his remnant. He's not gonna let this continue to go on. Esau has reached his bounds, man. Like said Sirach chapter 12:13, who will pity a charmer who's bitten by a serpent? You fuck around, you play with a snake and get bit, hey, you deserve it. You already know how he is. Just as iron rusted, so it's his countenance, man. He's gonna always be who he is, man. You can paint him over and dress him up in so many ways and give him so many identities. He's still the same devil from way back then. Ain't nothing changed about him, man. The Lord programmed him to be one way, and you think he's gonna change in these end times, man? That devil ain't gonna change, man. The Lord labeled him the wicked from the beginning. And I'm gonna finish up in the book of Obadiah. It's one of my favorite reads, man. It's short. It's one of the shortest book. It's the shortest book in the Bible, but it's one of the most powerful because it gives a. You ever had you see when somebody's be on these shows and they have to give an eyewitness testimony of who give a description of a criminal, and they have a sketch artist there trying to draw and figure out who this guy was that did all this to get information on. Well, that's the way Obadiah is, man. He's like giving the testimony of the devil, man. He's trying to warn our people who he is. The book of Obadiah. Let me see. Lock you, bear with me. I don't have this one marked, so. Okay, there we go. The book of Obadiah. So I'm kind of jump through here a little bit. Just pick out all the meat, pretty much the whole chapter. If you get a chance to read it, but I'm just going to hit a few scriptures in here. The vision of Obadiah. Thus said the Lord concerning Edom. The pride of thy heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitant is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring us down? Who shall bring me down to the ground? Thou that exalt thyself as the eagle, and who has the mascot that's the eagle here in Babylon the Great? And thou that set thy nest amongst the stars, they got all these space stations and all that up in the sky. Thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord, because their pride is up on high right now. And if a thief came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen until they had enough? If the gategatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? Esau Edom, hell no. He's going to take every grape there is out there. He comes to break in your house. He's not only steal everything out your house. He's going to steal the house, the property, the land, everything. That's how he does, You see a lot of times these jakes have land, and first thing he does is find some way loophole to come in and steal your land up from out under your feet. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are the hidden things sought out? Sought up. Um, Jump to verse 8. Shall I not in that day, said the Lord, even destroy the wise out of Edom and understanding out of the mountain of Esau? Look at our president now. Ain't unwise about that president now. You know, he's just pretty much there. You know, there's no wisdom in Edom right now. For thy violence against our brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. So the Lord is going to get our revenge, man. Cause like I say, watch a documentary, man, you get pissed, man, to see what this damn devil's done, and our people just, you know, our people have been falling for it. The Lord has opened up our eyes so we're able to see now. Thou shouldst not have entertained the gate of my people in the day of their calamity, yea, thou shouldst not have looked upon their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. So the hell we was going through with that crack epidemic, you know, they took advantage of our people. You know, they took an opportunity to swoop in and destroy our neighborhoods, destroy our people. And they made money off of us, man. They made money off our affliction. They made money off those these private prisons that they created to lock Jake up to go out here and work for pennies, you know. That's the devil, man. That's how he get down. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. Thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own neck, own head. Like you say, you go to Philadelphia and a lot of these major cities, not just Philly, all these major cities around, you go in there, you see these Edomites, man, they strung out like a motherfucker, man. They on that heroin and fentanyl and shit. And a lot of them, you know, in a low state, in that meth, all that type of shit. So the Lord is turning these plagues upon them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. So the Lord is going to do where he's got some slavery to do. He's got some repenting to do for his work. You know, we're going to get reparations, but we're going to get true reparation when the Lord comes back. And he's going to have to pay for going up for what he did to our people. In verse 21, and Saviors shall come up on Mount Zion and judge the mountain of Esau, and the kingdom shall be of the Lord's. With that, I'm going to close this up, and I pray that this lesson was edifying. And with that, I want to say shalom.